Hey everybody, Real Estate Ninja here. Hope you're doing well. Got a story from an investor that I was just, I was a little blown away, and a theory that I guess I'm sort of in the middle of coming up with that we may see really soon in the real estate market. And let me tell you his story. He bought a house and he's seeing an alarming trend. He's had a few of these now just recently in literally the last few months, where he bought a home. And this one that we're going to talk about is from a wholesaler. He bought it from a wholesaler, and he went and he got a post-occupancy agreement, and the owners of the home said they needed a few days to move out, 5 days to be exact. And the agreement stated that any day over 5 days that they were still in the home, they would owe him $250 per day. And 5 days came and went, and the owners were still in there. The investor went to them and they assured him, oh no, sorry, just need one more day. And they had a bunch of stuff out in front of their house. And this really got me thinking, because he said, okay, looks like they're doing stuff, they're moving, so no big deal. 6 days, 7 days, 8 days, 12 days, 15 days. It's now past 15 days and they are still in there. Now, of course, they're racking up $250 a day if he can collect. And they had this agreement, the post-occupancy agreement, in place. They did a $5,000 cash holdback in escrow, which is very smart of the investor. It's really important that you do that. But I think that we are going to see, and he is seeing an alarming, it's starting to concern him now. This is, I think, his third in the last couple of months, that he is seeing owners just still there and the stuff has not moved. And I think as this market starts to collapse and people lose their jobs and they sell their home, some owners are going to be selling their home with very thin margins, meaning they barely had enough just to pay off the mortgage company, and they're sitting there going, where do I go? I'm used to a much lower payment and I can't afford the more expensive rent. So why don't I just squat here? And that's going to be a very interesting ordeal for many investors coming into this crash to deal with. We saw this happen in 2009, 2008, where a lot of people just simply could not find a rental because sure, rents were going up back then as well. But what happened was there just weren't any rentals. So some that still had their job, like, I can't move too far away because I work here. Others, they lost their job and they're like, I can't afford to leave. And so they would have to be forcibly evicted. Now, there are many states around the country that make it very, very difficult. And if you're in one of those states, shout it out below and some of the issues you've had in the past with evictions. But it makes it very difficult for the landlord to evict a tenant, right? And remember, even though you bought the home from the seller, if they are in there, they are now your tenant. And you have to go through your standard eviction laws. Now, it's interesting because I'm starting to think about this, and we're facing a crash on not only a global scale, but much larger than anything that we've ever lived through, right? Because this is a big cycle, 100-year cycle. And when people have nowhere to turn, what do? They wait for a handout, or they wait for somebody to take care of them. And that, a lot of the times, is going to fall on the new buyer of the home, right? Whether it be a bank or an investor like you or me. Now, one thing that you can do to avoid this is buy homes from banks, right? That's one way. Another way is to do like this gentleman did, is have a post-occupancy agreement in stone, have money held back in escrow. So they're more incentivized to leave, right? Because if they leave on time, then they get their money. All right, let's say, and this investor said he had $5,000, but he is now planning on doing $10,000 post-occupancy agreements to really give an incentive. Like, hey, you said you're going to need 5 days after escrow to leave. All right, it's been 5 days. You're now going to lose $10,000. And a lot of times tenants go, I need that 10 grand to be able to, go get the next rental. So they're going to go do that, right? Now, a lot of people would say, well, what if there's not $10,000 baked into the cake in the deal? Well, then you probably need, the alarm bells should be going off in your mind right now and going, if there's not 10 grand in profit baked into the deal for this seller to be able to hold back to ensure that they leave in time, right? And again, this scenario only plays out when the tenant says, I'm not going to leave after escrow closes and money is distributed, right? Dispersed. the mortgage is paid off, things like that. So this doesn't happen in every scenario, but I think that you're going to see more and more of this because there's going to be a lot of sellers that go, look, I don't want to leave unless I know this thing's closing, especially on a distressed property. Because a lot of owners understand, they know what they have or what they don't have, let's say, in how good of a deal a real estate property is, especially one that's a fixer, right? They know that the likelihood of a deal falling out of escrow is high. So why would they go and spend the time and money to go and rent a place and start moving out prior to the close, the day the escrow closes? So you see, your alarm bell should be going off already. So that's why you need good occupancy agreement, good amount of holdback, and then you need to know your local eviction plans. But one big way of solving all this is just buy it from the bank. Eventually, these properties go into foreclosure and the bank deals with it. And trust me, the bank takes care of getting them out of there. They do not go and sell that home until the people are gone. Very few times have I ever seen a bank try and sell a property where the tenants are still in there. So that is something I just want to share with you. I think this is going to be an alarming trend as the economy starts to collapse even more. Pension funds go down in value. We see inflation keep rising. I think you're going to see this a much bigger problem. So I wanted to bring this to your the forefront of your mind and get you thinking. And how would you deal with a tenant that isn't paying? Let us know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. All right, guys. With that being said, the Real Estate Ninja is out.